Hi, hello, welcome to Moral High Ground, where I talk about what's morally right to you. This is also a podcast. You can find it in many places online. Go on there and check out previous episodes, hear my logic, my psychobabbles, my rants, all my stuff on Moral High Ground is unedited. It's real, okay? It's just really serious to the point. And what I'm going to be talking about. Oh, one more thing. Uh, don't take some of my stuff and just automatically assume you know what the hell I'm talking about. Adding too many colors to a painting. If I make an episode about a certain issue, that don't mean that's what I'm talking about. It means you want to be a dick and you ain't listening and you want to try to make everybody look bad because that makes you feel good about yourself. So, with that being said, I'm talking about ending this stupid solution, finding the solutions to homelessness, and because it's a burden on the American community. Okay, it's a burden. People walking around pissing and duping and yeah, all over the place. Okay, they're taking dumps all over the place and doing it in the middle of the streets. They're doing all these things. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, solutions to ending homelessness. Okay, so with this being said, I made an episode about last year or the year before, one of the two, on UUPN where I said that once again solutions to homelessness, but it wasn't to homelessness. Same thing. I don't know. But my point is this. Okay, so I'm not camera savvy right now. But anyway, so the whole thing is I had a plan and I structured it pretty well, had edited pretty well, put down all my research on the side of me, so people can look, so maybe a couple seconds too short to where people couldn't read it. But the whole thing was I came up with this whole ingenious idea. And what made me do it was because of the fact that on the news they were talking about the city getting $20 million in COVID relief money. Okay. And the whole thing about that is the COVID relief money could have been enough to house the little small 6,000 people we have in the city of Portland. I don't know how many it is in Salem. I think it's less than that. I think it's maybe about 2,000, 2 to 3,000 people that's homeless down in Salem. Okay. And so I had this whole idea. Take 1.3 million or 1.4 million by 400 acres of land, roughly 450 acres of land, and pretty much put the people out there, make them farm on the land, build a medical facility, a mental health facility, establish some kind of franchise business because franchises will put literally Subway will put a business anywhere. Okay, you tell them you want a Subway on the moon, they'll put it on the moon. Okay, they'll put a Subway there and make a franchise. At the same time, you want to make a place. You want to make these people. Uh, how can I say this? You want to make these people be able to rehabilitate themselves back into society. Okay, and the reason why I say this is because I said it like in another episode thing. I don't know. I do a lot of podcasts and things. So the thing about it is, okay, it's like the animals. Okay, it's the animals that raise kids like Pecos Bill and all these other people that are raised by wolves, coyotes, monkeys, goats. I know it sounds stupid, but there was some girl or a boy that was raised by a goat. I know it's really ridiculous, but he was living off of goat milk, and his feet got a lot of callus because they were walking up hills. It was one of them goats that walked up mountains. But my point is, they were not a part of society and became animal people, man, or people mentally animal. Anyway, my point is this, okay? My point is this: they became a part of society, and dang man, okay, I don't know why it bothers me every time, but I got doggy now, so okay, okay. So See, this is why, besides this light bothering me, that I got the glasses on, just so you know, because this light is like, first it's like, ah. But, so, the point is this: these people forgot how to be American citizens. Well, not American citizens, because a lot of these situations happen in other places, like the dog girl in Russia, the woman that was a monkey, and I think she was in Brazil or something. And there's all these other stories of people who were raised by animals, and some of them became part of society again, and others didn't. And so, with that being said, God dang it, with that being said, it's like some of them had to relearn how to do it and was able to do it, and some couldn't put themselves back into that situation again, and they couldn't adapt to being a normal human again. So the whole thing about it is homelessness is the same way. These people are out there in the street, and and just because I'm talking about homeless, just want to make this clear. That doesn't mean I'm homeless. Obviously, I'm in the path, And but anyway, so these people can't honestly just say, okay, let's just get into a house and now we're normal. We know how to pay bills. We know how to work our asses off. We know how to stay adapted to that way. They actually put themselves in that type of situation to where now they only understand how to be homeless. Uh, to be a person that works and strive and for what you want, and to try to succeed at something, to accomplish goals daily, to constantly uh, learn and be a part of society. It's got to be ultimate goal of yours is to want to be something, to want to succeed. You got to want to be something meaningful in life, you know. And these people gave up on life somewhere down the line, or a situation got bad and they had no choice but to be homeless. And then there's the other scenario besides the fact that they're on drugs, and drugs keep them on the street. You know, this is why it makes no damn sense to me why people do heroin, why they do meth, why they do crack. It's the stupidest shit ever. You know, uh, when I was growing up, you know, back in the day, in the '80s and '90s and all that. Okay, people were running around on crack, looking stupid as hell, looking like, I mean, the stuff you see them lose, burning bridges, uh, losing women, losing their children, losing their jobs. And then, everyone, just you could look at it and you go, well, fuck. Who the fuck wants to lose their life behind some weird feeling that they're getting on drugs? So to me, it's never been a desire to do these extreme drugs. It's always been a pleasure and a relaxing organization, a relaxing situation, a comfortability to smoke pot. It's always been a elusive drinking party. You get drunk and you drink to the power, you drink to the sound, thunder and metal be shaking the ground. Okay, drink to your brothers that ain't never too far. You know, and yeah, that's all you need: booze and weed. But when it comes to alcohol, and even when it comes to weed, if you do it too much, it becomes a problem. And that's the thing. You can smoke weed, most of the day, make it a good day. You just like sit there, smoke pot all day, but don't make it every day, all day. You can't live without it type of thing. Because then you're no different than the damn big stream drug addicts. And then when it comes to alcohol, don't drink alone. When you if you're a strong person like me, you can drink and there's nothing bothering you. And you don't have to drink every day. It doesn't have to be an all day thing. Once again, pick a good day. You can drink, smoke your pot, just enjoy yourself. But don't make it an everyday damn thing. And don't make it a thing where, oh, I'm sad, I'm going to have a drink to get away my thoughts. Because ultimately, drinking destroys brain cells. So if you're going to do a bender and just get drunk, excuse me, drink a fifth or a couple beers, then that's all right. But obviously, a lot of us have uh, DNA traits that make us alcoholics and so forth. But I believe that's I don't believe it's too much of a DNA thing where it's passed down as an alcoholic problem through the family. I believe it's a problem where An individual has a choice. No matter what you do, you have a choice. You have a choice to be a good person. You have a choice to be a bad person. You have a choice to love. You have a choice to hate. You have a choice to care. You got a choice to not give a damn. You know, you have a choice to make something of yourself. And you have a choice to destroy yourself. It's a choice to kill and choice not to kill. You know, you have a choice to want to succeed and a choice to want to fail. And so, with that being said, you have a choice to limit how you do things. You know, limit how you drink, limit how you smoke your pot, and don't let everything that's control your life. Because ultimately, these things fog your cerebral. And you need your brain. Me. When I was younger, that's all it was: drinking pot and stupid parties and chicks and cars and fighting, a lot of fighting, you know, and just being a dumbass. You think you're immortal, you think you can do any damn thing. And as you get older and you're tired, bones start crapping, your hip go out, you can't get that much nookie anymore, you know. It's like, damn, what I do in my life? And you had all these plans for world domination. But no, you can't do this. You can't take over the world. Nobody wants to unify now, but they wanted to unify when there was a party. And so the thing about it is, you have to find a way to limit things that hold you back in life, and that goes with people too. You got to eliminate these people in your life that's stopping you from doing what you need to do. They are your enemy. They're not your friend. They're your enemy. And so if these people are there, you must eliminate them out your life because ultimately they're there for your failure. They're there for your failure and they want to see you fall. It's the best way for them to get entertainment because there's too many damn shows on all these streaming services and things, and you'll be sitting there flipping the channel for 30, 40 minutes, getting mad like, damn, what do I watch? Because it ain't like back in the day where they give you previews up the ass, and there's a channel, and you know what's coming on every week at what time. Now they just put the thing there, and you got to figure it out. You can't figure out what you want to watch, and you hear someone go, "Oh, you should watch this," and whatever they watch that they think they like sucks. It might be maybe 2 or 3 shows they talk about that actually is good, and the rest suck. Okay, because they make all these dumbass shows and they make no damn sense. And I'm way off topic, so let me get back to track. On track. So my point is, okay, damn, I lost my train of thought. Okay, but my point is, you just drink in moderation. Drink in moderation. Smoke in moderation. You know, me, I got like 2 fifths and like a pint of vodka, I think. But mostly it's just with me. I like my rum. I like my whiskey, and I don't think there's any booze better than rum and whiskey. You gotta be a cowboy. You gotta have a whiskey. Bourbon's all right. Maybe a little. Well, okay. Anyway, so, but yeah, don't. And I hate gin. I don't know why people like that dry gin. Sake's good. There's a little sushi place around the corner that's some good sake. Give you like 3 things of sake. That's once again, that's besides the point. So, so my point is, these people are out there because of their issues and their drinking and all this. Okay, so ultimately, they lost their way. They're falling. They need some support, and there's where we talk about the solution to ending homelessness. Okay, we have the shelters, but are the shelters really helping them? No, because you have a place saying, okay, we're going to give you housing, and this is how uh, certain organizations within Portland works. We're going to give you housing for a certain amount of months. You have this much time to find a job, to save up money. After this time is up, you're back on the street. We're giving you resources to get your ID. We're giving you resources to get your social security card. We're giving you resources, uh, to find a job. We're giving you resources to help you with pretty much any medical needs you got or have. And then people come from certain organizations like banks that just start up, or medical students and stuff, and they come and they try to help and they give their advice, they give their opinions and whatnot. And you can choose to take it or not take it. And because of the fact that there's so many drug addicts that run through, they're not allowed at all within the facility. Hence the problem and why there's not that many people in the shelter and why there's so many of them on the street. Because drugs, a new term for a drug addict is called homeless. Let's just be real. Homeless people are drug addicts. So the reason why they don't go to the shelters, they don't want these people controlling them from, stopping them from taking drugs and controlling them. They have to be up at a certain time to clean the place. It's kind of like, they're in jail or prison or something. You got to clean this area. You've been sitting around in your own filth. So it's time for you guys to clean up. We got to be up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you got to clean up. And that's what they do. And the other thing about it is, what makes it bad is ex-cons that come out of prison. They are sent directly to the shelter. So you got these guys that's got this jail mentality in with people that's been on the streets with their street mentality. Once again, it's like I said, like the people that are raised by wild animals, they have to be desensitized from the brainwashing that they put themselves in. So these people from prison are the same way. They haven't learned that they're not in prison anymore. They have to find a way to get back into society, and they can't do it because now you put them with another institution, an institution to help people that are lost and have no place. And so the two clash. And then let's not forget the mental institutions where the mentally ill come out. They don't have a housing place, even though there's a whole bunch of stuff set up for people who's mentally ill within the state of Portland. They got it so good they can go bash the head out of some dude, piss on some kid, and go rape a woman and never go to jail. And it's not even getting it that good. It's really just really jacked up. But this is pretty much you're when you're mentally ill, you have a license to be the most greatest fuck up in the city of Portland. Okay, so if you're mentally ill, you're like rewarded by law to run around and do whatever the hell you want with no consequences. So just imagine being James Bond, but you're mentally ill and you just say a bunch of crazy crap every now and then, dress up in a costume and just beat the living hell out of somebody and then try to do the breakdance and the moonwalk. Okay? That's what it means to be mentally ill in the state of Portland or city of Portland. So enough of this. So that's the problem with these shelters is that, and then they have a certain way they do you. Even if you do got a job and you're in these facilities, uh, what happens is, let's say you had a job and you're supposed to be off at a certain time. Say you're supposed to be off at 11 p.m. at night, but then you're going through public transportation. You don't have a car. You're homeless, and you get back there around 1 o'clock because you had to stay a little late. This place will automatically have a lockout at a certain time, at that time of 11 o'clock, and will automatically think you're out there doing drugs, so they will not let you in the facility because you've been out all night, which is the dumbest thing. There shouldn't be a certain time limit on when these people are supposed to come in if you already know they're on the streets and they're adapted to something, that most people don't have a concept of adapting to. The other thing about it is that these people, homeless people, have friends, people they care about, people that they want to look out for, people that were looking out for them while they're out in the streets. No matter what it is in society, you're going to find a way to latch on or become close to somebody. So the homeless people are no different. They done grew accustomed to liking certain people, and they want to see these people. They want to get to know them. They want them back. If either it's a girl or a boy or guy, woman, they're always going to want to go make sure that person's okay. Some people literally will stay homeless because even they might get housing, but they'll stay homeless because the other person did not get housing. And so they're like, oh, wow, I got to make sure Michael or Cynthia's okay. Just whatever name you can think of, you got to make sure they're okay. So they'll stay out there or constantly go out there to visit this person, but that person might not be really good for them. But it's who they got to know, that they got comfortable with. So they'll go out there, be back around that person, and that person might lead them into failure. So, with that being said, ah, with that being said, the issue that I came up with last year or a year before when I made the UPN episode about uh, ending homelessness was I thought about, they said they had $20 million in COVID relief funds. Now they're saying it's 24 million, but now they're not calling it COVID relief funds. They're saying they set it up before COVID, but I actually recorded the news broadcast and explained everything, which you can actually look up on UPN in my playlist on this channel. So, they're saying it's some crap they got in 2019, which is not the case. So, and they made these tiny homes, which were supposed to be a big thing, and housing homeless people. And these tiny homes are supposed to be like it's pretty much living in a tiny ass closet or a tool shed, mostly a tool shed. It's like a little tool shed that has power, has enough space, and a toilet, you know. And so you're just like living in this little tiny tool shed. And he's like, oh, there's the tiny homes. And I think they cost about, 50, I don't know, maybe I want to say 1,500, but I can't remember the exact amount. It's been a while. It might come to about, because with the toilet and the water and the electricity, I'll say roughly about 3,000, maybe $4,000 to make these tiny little homes. And yet you had $20 million, and they only made about three of these little camps. So if you make three of these little camps and you made about 16 of these tiny little homes, you still have a whole, shit, $18 million. And but somehow now they got 24 million that they can use to help the cause of the homeless. So that means they really didn't use the 20 million. And the point about, and here's a funny thing about these tiny little homes. They want to talk about how much it costs to build them and put these things in here. Like I said, like a toilet, sink, whatever, electricity, and you got this little tool shed that you live in. Now, there's a time when, and this is gonna blow your mind because this is gonna blow your mind. So they already were talking about a while back about taking those big shipping containers and making houses out of them. Okay, and believe it or not, they've done that. They started construction. They had made tons of these containers, and some of them were made for businesses, and some of them were made for housing. Okay, and they cut. You can see containers. There's a place on Hayden Meadows or the Delta Park area. I'll just say the Delta Park area, and pretty much over there, Vanport, all this crap. It's in that area, in that vector over yonder. Okay, and the whole thing about it is you can be on a bus or whatever. You go down this one street through there, and you see them all to the right side. And it's like I don't know how many there was, but they're stacking on top of each other. And so it's like at least I don't know. I want to say 25, maybe 30 of them, and you can see the windows. They got the door thing cut out of them. All this, right? Why invest money into these tiny little stupid homes when you already got something that's already established to where you don't have to build it? It's already been constructed to be a home, and actually use them to house. I mean, these things are so big. The smaller ones could probably hold about 3 to 4 people without, I'll say three, without them bumping into each other and getting on each other's nerves. And then, or maybe two, who knows? Some people can't stand, but who knows? So the other ones that's big enough could hold at least, I'll say, 8 people. So if you got 30 of these and they can hold 8 people, that's helping out the cause of getting the people out of there. The problem is, once again, is where you're going to put them. So why? Here's my thing. Like what I was saying, if you had 1.3, 1.4 million, 450 acres of land in Eastern Oregon, you'd be able to start a small town you'd have to add certain things, but you could put these fucking container homes out there, hook them up with power. You don't have to necessarily have plumbing. You could have a well. You could make a well or have a water tower that actually collects water. From rain and snow, and be big enough to last. Because we're talking about being out in the land. So if you're out in the open, there's a lot of snow and water that's going to come or flow down, because water flows downhill. And you can collect it. You can collect it in so many different ways, besides the fact of doing the whole plumbing thing, because it's going to cost more money. And we all know that the city and the state and the government don't want to spend money on our needs. So you know damn well they don't want to spend it on the homeless people's needs, or there wouldn't be so many homeless people in every city in the United States of America. So you have to find a way to be able to have them collect water and be able to live off of natural resources. And so that's the best logical sense, is to have wells, water towers that actually. And I made a blueprint a while back on how this you would make a water tower that's like this wide. Well, and I'm not talking about my arm length, but I mean, like, let's just say like 50 feet wide by 30 feet. Okay, so 50 feet wide that way, and then 30 feet coming in this way for corner size, but with lids that closes, so you can have it open during the rainy season to where it fills, and they have a gauge to tell you where the water level's at, and you close the sucker down, and you're able to contain it. Now, depending on how deep it is, that's the whole other concept. Okay, but then you have pipes that's coming through, and then you can disperse the water in a certain type of way to be able to put it into the land to grow things, or be able to use it however you want to use it, to whatever needs you want to use it. And my God, it's an ingenious invention of mine. Yes. But no one's going to help me fund it. Once again, I could sit here and ask for people to help me build this ingenious water tower I created with my superior brain. But no, you're not going to help me do it. You're bloody wankers. Okay? And but my point is this. So this is what you do. You put, like I said, these people out there. There's 6,000 homeless people in the city of Portland. I forget how many it is in Salem. But you take them all, you put them out there. You just start with the 6,000 in Portland. And you can put them out there. And here's the thing. You take at least 20 people who know how to do things in the wild. You take at least 3 people that know how to farm, know how to plant things. You take those 3 people who know how to plant things and know their nature, and bring them out there to start uh, growing things. You take at least 4 people that know how to raise livestock, and you bring them out there and teach homeless people how to do these things. You take at least 3 blacksmiths type stuff, welders and blacksmiths, because they're both the same trade. Welding is like, modern age version of blacksmithing. But you take them out there and you teach people this for free. It's all for free, right? And you also take people out there and you show them how to build buildings and structures, as well as, putting like resources out there, like a medical facility, putting out a doctor's office, doctor's office, a mental health facility is what I'm trying to say. And dang, man, need water. Hold on a second. Yeah, that didn't help. Okay. So, you, like I said, mental facilities and franchises. Like I said, you could put Subway anywhere. You put McDonald's anywhere. They'll more than glad to put in a place where they can make money. But and you gotta have, let's say, some butchers, So you need butchers to be able to teach you people how to, you know, cut up their own meat and livestock and things like that. You can generate a whole, learning system that actually benefits these people. And it makes more sense for them to be in a more rural area than a suburban area where they don't, because right now they got tents out in the middle of the street. You can't walk down the damn street. They get mad if you knock their crap over, but their crap is blocking your path of getting where the hell you're trying to get. And if you got a bad hip or you're in a wheelchair or you're blind, they're gonna try to fight you. There's something that happened a while ago with a friend of mine's uh, friend or whatever who was blind, and they happened to bump into the tent because they couldn't see it, or had black. I think he has bad eyes, or what is it, cataracts or something. But anyway, they beat the hell out of this dude because he just bumped into this homeless person's tent. It's not that homeless person or that blind dude's fault. It's the homeless person's fault. And this is where the problem is. You got more homeless people doing property damages than a superhero. They running around destroying property and no one cares. It's just like watching a Superman or Justice League cartoon. They're making all this property damage and no one cares. It makes no damn sense. So my point is, it's like they need to be in a rural area. They have to be able to uh, move around whenever they want and do things. But if you put these people out there to teach them how to live off the land, and you'll have a small village or a town. And the way you make money for them is to be able to turn like livestock. You get all the long-haired animals, alpacas, llamas, sheep, Scotland high cows, Afghani goats, Afghani rabbits. Uh, I can't think. I had another. Oh, the flat seeds. Believe it or not, there you can make like fabric out of flat seeds because they got this silky stuff, which means you get some silkworms too, because silkworms make you know fabric type stuff. And this is where we go back to old school stuff, and we create a textile mill to be able to make fabric and have them do it. They can either do it the technological way, which is going to cost at least hell half the damn money, the majority of the damn millions, 20 million to build. Instead of doing that, you bring it back to the old school where they're weaving and stuff on their own, and they're using this old way to do textiling, making fabric, making wool, making cotton and cloth type material. So you have people learning that still, and whatever they sell, they can get a profit, and so you create jobs for these people. And because they're homeless and in a certain situation, they might be more lenient to get a certain amount that would help them survive because they're out there in the wilderness. It would help them survive, so you can pay them like the old minimum wage, or maybe uh, $8 an hour, or you know 10. Who knows? I don't know what the minimum wage thing was about 7 years ago, but you just go back to about 7 years ago, minimum wage style in Oregon, and yeah, man. And then you could add like make canned goods, dried fruit goods, fruits and vegetables, uh, beer. You can make a lot of beer and wine because that's the thing. Growing all kinds of, not growing all, but making all kinds of booze that people can drink is a thing. And here in the West and the Pacific Northwest, we make breweries. So have them out there making breweries. Have a bunch of, make an orchard. That way you can make all these things, or these fruits and uh, vegetable cannings and drying goodies, and you can make companies out of everything I'm talking about, and make maple trees. Get some maple trees out there and make syrups and all kinds of syrups, if that's the pronunciation. And it's like, just do this, man. It's not that freaking hard. Okay, you want to keep them in the city to try to say you have a heart for these people, but you truly don't. Because if you did, these people wouldn't be looking like crap and bums, and you feel like you're in like, excuse me, you feel like you're in one of those movies like, Conan the Barbarian. You're walking past all these, you know, peasants, and or something like, you're in, I don't know, like your Jesus time, and you're walking by all the people, oh, help me, Assad, help me, just like, come on, man, like, it's ridiculous. We're supposed to be the greatest nation, the richest nation in the whole world, but yet we got homeless people that look like normal people, so you don't know who's normal and who's homeless. And so then the normal people get treated like homeless people by other people that got more money to buy more wealthy clothes instead of the person that's sitting around comfortable in the stuff they used to wear. So the people that sitting there comfortable in stuff they used to wear is looking like homeless people, and some homeless people take all their money to buy clothes so they look, brand new clothes so they don't look like they're poor. And it's just all crazy. It's confusing, and I just confuse myself talking about it. But my whole point is this, okay? If you have more opportunities to survive, to be able to make money and profit if you have open land, okay, and you're not, pigeonholed by some of the rules of the state or the local city or government. You can do whatever the hell you want, And so being out there, they could make, like I said, a small village and town. Like I said, if you had a blacksmith or welder, they're pretty much the same thing. They can create things, new vehicles, other tools and things that they might need that might be beneficial for. Because creativity is a hell of a thing, and it's one of the gifts from God because God's the ultimate creator. So mankind's gift that comes from God, besides joy, happiness, and love, is the power to create. So never hold back on anything you got an idea on creating. As soon as you get that idea, jump on it. Don't hesitate. But at the same time, make sure you plan it out well, so your plan becomes uh how could I say this? I'm just spaced out again. Your plan can be succeed, can come to light. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you want to make sure your plan comes to light and see the light. So and that's the thing. You want to be able to make sure these people were able to make money. So if you had a textile mill, say you had some alpacas or llamas or whatever, and maybe a couple sheep. The one thing you don't want is a yak because they smell like living funk. It's just odor that's foul. So no yaks, but everything else. Afghani goats, Afghani rabbits, Scotland high cows, a cow that doesn't really age fast, slow aging cow that looks like a giant hairy dog and has big ass horns. And you just want the fur off of them, fur off of animals and things and like this textile mill. And the same thing with the fruits and vegetables, all this stuff. And so, with that being said, I had a conversation just the other day with a guy I know, and I was explaining the same thing I'm explaining right now about how I did this on UUPN, and I was explaining about the solution to homelessness and how to end it. And I dug it. It tastes like shit. Anyway, so I was talking about this how to end this homeless situation, what my plan was, and it's exactly the way I'm explaining it to you now. And his whole thing was, oh, that sounds like a poor farm. And I'm like, what the hell is a poor farm? Because I always heard about a poor, uh, poor house, which is pretty much a shelter. But the poor farm was a different thing. And he was explaining to me how they used to do people. And it actually started in somewhere in the 1800s or 1700s. And it lasted till 1911. And the last one that was in Oregon, that was in Troutdale, lasted to, I think it was 85 or something like that. And they also had one that was for prisoners. I remember when I was a teen and I went to jail for bashing this. This dude robbed me, and he goes into a car, and he's like hiding because me and my buddy are like trying to whoop his ass, like give me my shit back, And he runs into the car and crap, and I walk up like, and he wouldn't get out of the freaking car, so I was just like, shit, I broke that motherfucking window, and I still got the cut right here. If you can see, I don't know if you can see that crap. What the hell, he can't even see the crap. Right, yeah, right. Oh crap! Never mind. You can see it, man. Trust me. But it's just cameras are weird, man. But so the whole thing is, so I went to this place called the farm. So I'm cutting that short. But anyway, I went to the farm for trying to bash a car in as menacing was the law then, and and it was crazy because that fucker stole my shit, but I went to jail. You see, this is how they treat black people, have an unfair advantage. But, and I'm not doing a victim card, I admit to bashing that window in and trying to get that sucker that stole my crap. And the cold part about it was I was trying to help that brother out. You see, you can't be cool with everybody. But, so, the point was this, okay? So, the farm for jail people where you go out there. They had facilities once again to help people with mental illness, drug addiction, uh, getting out of gangs, and all kinds of stuff, as well as trying to get them to work on the farm a bit if they wanted to make some money. And you could go pick stuff in the garden. I don't think they made deal with live stock, but there is some that do. The only problem is you get the sick bastards in there trying to work with livestock, trying to do bestiality with the animals, which is insane. As I don't want to see half chicken goat people or some half human freaking alpaca. Okay, it's just crazy nonsense. So that's what they used to happen. So this whole conversation we had, I thought it was interesting, and I figured I would bring it to this platform. Now, I did record it, and it's quite interesting. But this guy, he was explaining this whole thing, and he was saying that there was a relative of his that actually worked for him, and the guy was actually a crook. He'd get people to work on. Now, the poor farm had it to where you could go there, stay there. They only housed 12 people at a time. At the same time, these people weren't getting paid. If they were, they would only make $20. And it will not. I'm not talking about $20 an hour. I mean, literally, their pay for working was $20. But we're talking about over 100 and something years ago. That actually started in 1800s. What is that? This crazy chick. Give me the boobies. Leave me alone. Yeah, but so they started that price range in 1800s, like early, turn of the century, 1900s, the beginning, okay, 1911, stuff like that. They're getting paid $20 an hour, which is crazy, man. If people are homeless, you want to get them help they need. So just, to me, it's like with that situation, and even with the shelter, the bad thing about the shelters is almost as similar as this poor farm or a poorhouse type of scenario because they're making profit off the homeless people. It's really being a slave, because you're working for nothing. You're getting little or nothing. And the only thing that's supposed to be a benefit for you is you got some kind of shelter over your head and some kind of little protection. But the thing about it was this guy who did it here in Oregon, which was only here in Portland, really, because it was in Hillsboro, uh, Eagle Edge or some crap. Anyway, so the guy was, you know, abusing some people, kicking people out, taking stuff from them, and ultimately the place got shut down. Now it's a care facility. for old people. Like this is a care facility, and the other one uh, that was out in Troutdale had a similar occurrence, but once again, they were paying the people like $20 an hour. So it's a thing where they had all this, resources, but they didn't help the homeless people with the resources. In modern times, another problem with the shelters is you go in there, they want you to automatically give them your social security number and ID, and you're like, you got to think about that. Why does a homeless shelter need these people's social security numbers? Ultimately, you should only have their ID because you want to identify who the person is that's staying there. But the reason why they need the ID is so they can use it as uh, to get tax write off. You know, more social security numbers you have, the more bigger your tax write off is, the bigger return you get every year as a nonprofit organization. And so that's the real reason. So actually, they're making money off every homeless person. And here's the thing: they don't care if this homeless person achieves anything to get themselves into housing. They know as long as that person keeps coming back to their door, they reap the money off of their name and is able to put something in there. And don't think that every shelter actually feeds these people because they don't. You know, like this Clark Center, they don't feed people. People come and donate food or come in there and cook for people, and they make a meal for people, or someone will say, "Hey, I got food stamps. I want to cook tonight," and they cook some food there. But otherwise, a homeless person that does have food stamps or something will sit there and they'll bring something in from they went and stopped bought pizza or something from Safeway or whatever, and the other homeless people sit around and swarm over them. Try eating people standing over you and wanting something yours. You know what I mean? So it makes it intimidating. So most people who have food stamps or is working and they're making money, they won't eat there. They'll eat somewhere else. And whatever they bring back is like a snack. They can sit back and watch, you know, some kung fu movie on Hulu or something. Hulu doesn't got that many good kung fu movies, man. It's kind of stupid. It's got anime. And there's nothing wrong with anime, but some of them is just completely bonkers. Uh, really stupid. You ever notice how there's always some floating, ridiculous animal type creature in anime? I don't understand why. And there's some I watch like, what the hell is that thing? Why the hell is it doing that? Why does it talk? Just like, yeah, I swear to God. So I don't like too many of those, where they have those weird animal things. So just get rid of the weird creature that makes no sense and has no backstory that hangs out with this main superhero type powerful bastard. Okay, it makes no sense that you guys keep making these retarded creature thingies and put them in animes. Okay, like with Dragon Ball is cool. Okay, you got Oolong. He was a pig creature dude, and you had that cat Par or whatever. That makes sense a bit. Except for the cat floats around, it makes no damn sense. And then Inuyasha, you got Shippo, he's all right, and you get the Talala or whatever the hell. But the one that don't make sense is that Myoga the Fleet thing. What the freaking hell? And then when he pops up on the show, you don't know where the hell he came from. And he's this tiny little thing, and he's calling Inuyasha his master, and he's supposed to actually be the master. It makes no damn sense. It's just completely ridiculous, confusing, and I don't know why animes do that. And once again, I went off topic. So I don't get it. Why they keep making these little tiny, stupid flying creature thingies? So, and that's why Naruto is cool because they don't have no flying around weird creature thingies uh, talking to you, and you don't know why the hell they're there. So, besides, he is the weird creature thingy because he's supposed to be a demon, fox demon thing. Except for in Asian legends, the fox is actually a god of some kind. But I researched it. But anyway, so I always research stuff when it comes to things like that because I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But back to what I'm saying. So the shelter actually benefits off of people's names and gets money every year nonprofit organizations make money, people. And they call it a nonprofit because uh, it's supposed to be a generous thing that they're doing. So they say, oh, we're not making money off it, but they are. And they're pocketing it. And they don't really care if you succeed or not. They'll label you as soon as you get in there. And most of the time, they'll label you unfairly and won't even take the time to help you out. And so the thing with this poor farm is it's the same scenario, but people get paid $20 an hour. And my legs kind of getting stiff. But anyway, $20 an hour. And they don't be able to uh, take the time to teach these people new things. They will teach them things, but the only benefit is they got shelter and things and stuff, so forth. So what made this conversation interesting was they said that the city was talking about doing this again, bringing something back that was created 100 and something years ago, and being able to help the homeless people. Except for there's a way more than just 12 people because back then you could put like 12 people in and house them. But the people that were doing it back 100 years ago, most of the homeless people were old people. Right now, we have tons of young people who could do this and they could actually benefit from it, but do it my way to where they actually create their own business after they learn something, you know, and be able to make a small town or village or whatever. Excuse me. And it just makes sense. So here's most of the conversation that I had. Hopefully, you can hear him on this thing. Like I used to hear poorhouse, but so what's the difference? So a house is pretty much just like, well, it's like a shelter. There was or there wasn't. Oh no. Ah. This gave local officials like and they named this guy Robert Blair, superintendent of Oklahoma County, Hillsdale, from 1870 to 1885. And it says, more or less, unchecked out. In other words, he exploited them. Let's see, he had complete control, total control over who was allowed to come in. In fact, most of the stories about him seem to account for all who do So when was this guy still active with this place? Oh, this is in 1870 to 1885. Very whole history. So my next question is, what is on that property now? I don't know. Most of it, so it's over here. You have to look. When was it abolished? Well, let's go through my note here. It's just really today. Let's see. So it only was 12 people at a time. Right, back then, yes. So, but if they just, but what my point is, so there was only 12 people at a time. It's been around since the 1700s, right? When was the place closed and shut down? What does it say? So nothing's been in the 2000s, though. Oh, no. These were all social services were available. So somewhere after the Great Depression. Yeah, the Great Depression is the high school. Oh. So, so what that conversation was, if you could hear it right, I don't know if the microphone picked it up right. I'm looking at it right now. I don't even know if the volume thing is going up right and you can hear me right. But the whole conversation was about his knowledge on a certain facility that was around in the 1800s that lasted to the 20th century, and how they were doing homeless people. And this guy was this big crook, 100 something, or almost 200 years ago, when this facility was uh, around and was supposed to be helping people. Get that chink in your lower back. But yeah, so uh, so you had this guy that was exploiting these homeless people and was making profit, and the city was allowing it to happen. And the people were only like 12, and you can only 12 people at a time could live in there. But what I'm talking about is a big project. I'm talking about mass uh, migration. Okay, I'm talking about moving these people out of the city into open land area, putting things there for them to live off of, taking these container homes instead of those little stupid tiny homes, and actually making them good enough for people to live in, as well as, you know, giving them meaning by having people out there to teach them skills and so forth. Now, if you want to make the state involved in those people will actually have to be able to get paid to teach these homeless people these skills, the butcher stuff, the raising cattle, livestock. I mean, the planning thing, the welding, the blacksmithing thing, um, so many other type of things. Learning how to do canned good, learning how to use a textile mill, how to dry stuff, how to make cheese, how to make butter, whatever. All these things need to be taught. And so the people that know these skills the best should be able to teach these skills without having to use too much technology that we have now that makes it a billion times faster. Let that stay to the people that are pretty much billionaires. And the next thing would be about there's this whole thing where they were pouring milk into the ground because there's too much dairy products and it doesn't get used enough. And so have them get those dairy products, have it donated, the milk donated to this village or uh, thing that I'm talking about creating, and have them make their own cheese and butter and stuff and be able to live off of it, and either sell it like, hey, this is homeless people cheese. You go to the supermarket, it says homeless cheese, and you go and you buy the homeless cheese, and every homeless cheese you buy helps their cause to make their little village grow into a town until you call it homeless cheese town or homeless town cheese. I don't know, but yeah, homeless town. I can't make it sound better. I can't think of any name, but whatever the hell the name of the village or town becomes, that's the name of the cheese. What they call themselves, the butt in cheese is what it's called. So anyway, so the next part was we were still, he was telling me the information he had on what happened, uh, almost like I said, 200 years ago with this poor farm thing, and how this guy was exploiting these people, using them as indentured servants here in the state of Oregon. And because they like to say that they didn't have slaves up here back then, but this guy actually did. Besides the fact that people used to come to Oregon in the 1800s and stuff and was never heard from ever again. They get into a bar, floor falls underneath them, they trap them and put them directly on a boat and ship them out the seas to Europe or France or bloody China or whatnot. Yeah, so the thing about it is, it made sense in a way, but not doing it. I'm talking about making people learn something, get something to be able to take care of themselves. It's like that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Or you can teach a man to fish, and he could feed himself for a day, or he'll learn for a lifetime, or something. I got that confused. I don't know. Or maybe you give a guy a fish, he eats for a day, or you teach him to fish and he be able to feed himself for a lifetime. That's the way you say it. But that's what I'm saying. And so the next part of the conversation was this. Wait a minute. Whoa. So there was one in Hillsboro and there was one in Troutdale. Okay. And they only had 12 people at a time? What? Okay. Well, don't. Oh. So, wait a minute. They had a hierarchy? Yes. These assholes. And premium people. There was a lot of land back then. Yeah. And Troutdale now is covered with a whole bunch of stuff. And you said 1911 with Troutdale. Oh. Do you remember back in the 90s, the 80s and 90s, there was a place called The Farm, and they had the prisoners go there. And they would stay in the farm area, but they had certain prisoners that would actually work in the gardens and stuff, growing cabbages and squashes and stuff like that. Do you remember that? No, there was an actual jail called The Farm back in the 80s and 90s. And then they closed it down, I think, like 2001 or 2. It was done and over with. Or somewhere in the early 2000s, they closed The Farm down. But it used to be it was kind of like a little tiny jail. Everybody could shower at the same time. They had these long areas that go alpha, beta, gamma, stuff like that. I went in there for punching this fucking car window with this dude inside. But so I have to answer a couple more questions. It's called the Little Carlton Courthouse. It's on Wool Cod Street. And that may not exist anymore. Okay, so this goes on for like 15 minutes. And then there's another, I was recording the conversation because I wanted to remember it to be able to talk about it and to be able to talk about, because it blew my mind. We had 2 places. One that held the original one, because as you just heard, there was one other one in Troutdale. If you could hear that recording, and I don't know any other way to do it. Got to figure out some wizard crap to figure out this technology stuff. My back. But so the original one that was in Hayden Meadows, or not Hayden Meadows, but over here in the Hillsboro area, could house 12 people at a time, and their work was like $20 they get for doing stuff, and they would get food and things like that. And the one that was created in Troutdale, as you heard me go, there was a hierarchy. Yes, there was a hierarchy. They had premium people that were more sophisticated, that were go through changes, okay? Try to do this thing. But so these people that were premium had more luxuries than the other homeless people for some reason. Why you would make a hierarchy amongst homeless people, I don't know if that's to give them confidence or make them overseers of the other homeless people, which once again brings back the topic of making them indentured servants. So that was their thing in the Troutdale one, was they had a hierarchy of people who actually lived in the big structure while the other ones lived in a separate facility. and were able to go out and pick grapes and strawberries and crap like that. And I don't remember what the wages was, but their whole thing was around 1911 facility. Now that facility is something else, and the road. He did a little more research and found out the road doesn't exist anymore. That used to be there, where it has this housing facility. So the thing is now, it got brought up by local government to try to bring back these farm things. Now, my plan originally was to talk about the Homestead Act, that was created by Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln made it clear, this was around the time that the Civil War happened, and that was one of the things that was passed by Lincoln was the Homestead Act, which brought forth more pioneers moving west across the United States, where they could go find some land they thought was reasonable for them to live on, and go on and pitch a tent and live there and build a home and start a family, like a little house on the prairie. So this is what the Homestead Act was about. Oregon's Homestead Act has to do with property that you buy and some other crap. It's not the same. They poke too many holes at it, like they always do. Same like with the Constitution, they poke so many holes at it that the things that the Constitution holds doesn't hold weight anymore. It's not legit. It doesn't follow the same guidelines it did when it was created. One thing they always poking holes at is freedom of speech and gun control. So just imagine that this whole thing, and I don't even think it's really an amendment, but it might be the 12th Amendment because I don't know, but it's somewhere in there. I don't know, but the Homestead Act is a thing that happens mostly in Colorado and Alaska, and there's other states now that has brought on the Homestead Act. A lot of people are homeless, but they could actually go to these places and be able to get land. There's people that are offering free land if you're able to build a home within a year. So this idea I have will be beneficial for people if they go out there and learn how to build structures and so forth. So here's the thing. I believe because of the history I obtained and learned through this man who had all the knowledge on it the other day, which I tried to play a recording for some odd reason. It's failing right now. But I believe that there should be, once again, and I'm not saying donate money to me. I actually believe some of these nonprofit organizations and charity places should have a certain time limit on how they spend the money, and have to prove where they put the money immediately. As soon as they spend it, they have to show proof that where they put it, or we wouldn't have things like what happened with that Black Lives Matter and all these other things. And I could tell, and I'm not even getting into all that because I got people I walk down the street, and as soon as see me, I'm black, they want to talk about Black Lives Matter. And I didn't give a damn about it when it was going on because I actually know how history works and things that happened with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. So there was no true leader when it came to Black Lives Matter. And, Martin Luther King and them made a proof of what a protest is supposed to be. It's supposed to be people sitting in a circle singing Kumbaya and we shall overcome, instead of let's throw a freaking Molly cocktail through a window and bash someone's car and run around throwing bricks at a freaking jailhouse all day, you know. So there's a difference, and the things that those supposed leaders was doing wasn't teaching uh, things of peace and unification. They were talking about hate and destruction and ultimately murder because they were talking about murdering cops and things like that. So I don't stand for chaos. I believe in unifying, sanctifying, and ultimately breeding with as many females as possible on this toilet earth. So my bloodline will take over this planet and I shall be reborn and become the ruler of this planet. Yes. But anyway, I believe that it should, once again, just like the thing I was saying the other day about helping the homeless pregnant women, the drug addicted pregnant women that's homeless. Because I'm serious about that one. Because I'm telling you, the story might not make sense, and I know sometimes I can't talk loud on this thing. I don't know. I could yell, but you gotta understand. I live in an apartment building, and these damn walls is paper thin. And probably right now, someone listening to me, some weirdos probably spanking their monkey to me, talking on you to you guys, and some chicks probably sitting there plotting my ultimate demise. Because they like to hang around my door, knock on it, beg for cigarettes, and do all kinds of weird shit. Because I'm, what do you call it? I'm not codependent, antisocial in a way. Uh, we don't know what you call that, outcast. So whatever. I just like to keep to myself. But sometimes a person that keeps to themselves, people are suspicious about, especially when they have a lively, sociable character like myself. So they're like, "What's he doing? Why is he by himself? How come there's no one over there? Oh, what's going on? Oh my God!" It's none of your damn business. Leave me alone. Let me drink my beer or whatever and play the video game. Okay, it's that simple. I'm in the middle of whatever level right now. I'm in Boston and New York or whatever, running around being colonial. Okay, and then I turned into a Native American and I'm killing redcoats. Okay, because I'm an assassin in Assassin's Creed. And that's where I'm at right now. I go to other places in video games, and it was funny because this girl was talking to me online and trying to get to know me, and she was saying she's from like uh, Rome or somewhere in Italy, and I was like, oh, I talked about all these places in Rome, and she's like, oh, you travel a lot, and you're smart and this and that, and I said, no, I don't travel. She goes, well, how do you know about this place in Rome and that place in Rome? I said, I've been there before in Assassin's Creed. And she started laughing. But it's the truth. That's the cool thing about video games is you can put yourself in a different mind frame and be able to. And I think that's why a lot of us guys like it, especially when our life is crappy. You put yourself in a different place. And a lot of them are informative, teach you a lot of things like Metal Gear, the military stuff in there is cool, the history and whatnot, especially when it comes to Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Because Sons of Liberty teaches you about pretty much the government betraying their own kind and ultimately making our own, you know, I don't know if you want to call it nuclear deterrence, but it's some kind of way of betrayal towards each other. And Splinter Cell is another one that teaches military type of things and so forth. Splinter Cell being a person that's on the inside, trying to get information. I like Siphon Filter. I don't know why they got rid of that. But back to what I was gonna say was this situation could be solved if you had once again if you got these millionaires or billionaires running around instead of walking around being flashy, acting like you're Kim Horacian, you know, and the rest of the Horacians. Uh, you know, take at least $10 to $20 million of your money. It's not going to hurt you because you already get way more. You might be in a billionaire status. You might have like $50 billion or 50 million or 500 million, 100 million, whatever. You don't even have to take 20 million. You can take at least $500,000. If you have at least $20 million or uh, 30, $40 million, especially if you got over, essentially, if you have over $36 million. I said this before, you cannot go broke as long as you have some kind of business that you have started that generates money and brings residuals in. You will always be able to make that money back at the end of the year. At least have at least seven more businesses generating money to bring more money in. So, let's just break it down to say, let's just say, 150,000. So if you had 150,000 and there's another billionaire or millionaire, and they put in 150,000, then you're able to come together to make this plan exist. And you don't even have to spend all that money. Half of the time, you can spend 50,000, have money left over for more supplies and things you need to generate this stuff to get these homeless people off the streets and things. You can also, because they're not going to have too much transportation out in a place like that. It'd be good to have mechanic skills taught as well. That way, they'd be able to build cars, come up with different ways to make cars run and whatever. but you'll be able to have people that can do many tasks and many skills, and it will solve the issue. And I'm just different sore all over. There we go. So the point is, the point is just being able to help people with a cause. And I don't know what you want to call it. You can call it homeless town, homeless, uh, freedom or whatever, but get them out of the city and into a place where they can actually live for themselves. Because living on the street is like, what is this, like Aladdin? This is like Prince Ali, Fabulous He, Ali Ababa. You know, you want to have the Arab money, okay? So you can't go around having homeless people walking around like peasants while you're acting like you're the Prince of Persia, and all these people are oblivious to you when you're right in your damn way, blocking your pavement and blocking your path of walking. So you need them to be able to have a place of their own to survive, to get away from you and stuff. So pretty much that's mostly all I have to say. Okay. Besides the fact of another plan I had where I was thinking to get people once again who know how to use boats, sail boats, uh, boating crafts, mostly sailboats, okay, with some form of fuel when you need it, but maybe one that's generated on solar power, which hasn't been done, and get a bunch of people. Let's say the ship can hold, or I don't know, the ship can hold about 50 people at a time, or 150, and have these people go out to sail. I'm not telling them to go turn into Captain Jack Sparrow, but you have them go off in the sea with people. Let's say there's at least 10 people, maybe less. I don't know how many people with, sea expertise that can go out there and feel willing enough to do this. But go out there and teach these people how to be in the ocean, how to fish, how to sail, how to operate the ship, period, how to uh, sing sea shanties and get drunk and find mermaids, as well as big titty mermaids, and go off in every port and get supplies they need from every port around the world. Spend one day in the Philippines in a port, seaport, then go over to Japan in a seaport, fight Godzilla, okay, meet Goku and Hitome from, Hitome Kanaka, I think her name is, and just take photos with her boobs, and then go off to the next place, sail off to like Switzerland, get some cheese, go to Venice and stuff, get some wine, and just to go to every port and get stuff, trade supplies. Hey, I got this wine from Venice, and you're in like India, and you're like, hey, give me some chicks that know the Kama Sutra, and then you trade those chicks that know Kama Sutra, and you trade. But anyway, I'm just saying, you go overseas and you do all these things, and truly they go crab fishing up in Alaska to make money, or you go deep sea diving, teach them how to do that, to find hidden things like, you know, there's places where ships crashed decades and centuries ago, and there's gold underneath them places. There's all kind of things there where a person can profit off of finding these ancient prehistoric coins, dinars and whatnot, and yeah, and be able to bring them to seas. But if you had someone to train the homeless people how to, operate these boats and ships, and you put a certain number, 50 to 100, and have them go across seas and have a communication team actually make it like, you got the Navy, so there's tons of Navy ships. They all talk to each other, and they're all named after states in the United States of America. So why not just do that? But instead, you name them off of certain things. Like, for instance, let's just say you were using it. Let's say you were naming all the ships after South Park. So you go, this is the USS Cartman, or this is the USS Kyle, or this is the USS Stan and USS Kenny. You know, they all communicate with each other. And then you know they're going out there on like a 5 year mission to search for new life and new sexualizations, to boldly go where no homeless has gone before. Okay, to use the main correct, directive or whatever the hell it's called. You can't change society's growth. You have to just nudge it a little bit, and you got to use the Kobayashi remover and whatnot. I watch too much Star Trek and I can't say none of it right now. But the whole point is that just like the Star Trek Odyssey, and they communicate and stuff. They could have their little suits and things and trade uh, other foreign items for another and be able to profit. But the whole thing is they're learning how to be out there fishing. They're learning where to fish, how to do certain things that people do to make profit on the sea. And they're able to have, like, let's say it was like I don't know, PayPal or something where their money gets generated directly into a card. So by the time they feel like they want to jump off a port, let's say they stop by a seaport somewhere in, like, I don't know, by Mexico or somewhere in Fiji or Thailand or something, and they said, okay, I just want to get off this ship now. They can take the money that they generated and go live over there. The only problem with that is, they got the whole, passport thing and making sure that you have any kind of viruses when you come over there. You have to put a lot of oranges and lemons on the ships though, so they don't get scurvy. And it's just that way their legs are balanced, or they'll be walking like Captain Jack Sparrow. And so that's just another plan of ending homelessness, which would probably end it faster because people who fish on the sea make a hell of a lot of money. It's hard work, but it's beneficial. And I believe because that's a different form of closeness. If they're out there in the seas, they're not looking for drugs. You know, there's no drugs out there unless they come across a port where they're selling a lot of drugs. Maybe in Cuba or somewhere in the Caribbean. And that's just a thing because I watched all them freaking movies. So but that's another way of ending homelessness, which was brought up to me by this chick I was messing with a couple of years ago, the short little redhead thing, and nice ass, and she was talking about, oh, why don't you just put homeless people in boats and let them go? But I added more stuff to it to make it look fancy, to make it sound good, is to put, like I said, uh, give them money for working on the seas, train them how to operate these boats, you know, give them a way to stack their money while they're on these things, go to every port, and, you can actually, buy things on other ports and be able to, like, let's just say there was a whole thing of garbage cans that they got on one port. They can't sell them. They can shit. You can take them there. And I mean, like the little ones you put in the bathroom or the kitchen. And you can go to another place, and these people don't have anything. Like, they want buckets, so they use these garbage cans as buckets. You trade those for whatever they have. This might be spices or some kind of material that is needed, and you trade these little, what they think would be a bucket, what is really a garbage can you got from another place, and then you're able to take these spices or materials and trade them for other things of value, and you can make a living off of that. And so that's another way to do on sea living, besides the fact of fishing. You just call it a sea voyage. And maybe there's a little tiny land. Seeing how humans have took over everything, there's not that much land left. So there might be some little tiny spot where they all meet up at and have a thing like in that Pirates of the Caribbean. They go to Tortuga, okay? So it's like a little Tortuga place that they all meet up at. And so, yeah, I believe it'd be good. My phone's getting hit up by some retarded chick, okay? And I don't know why. So with that being said, What was he talking about? That's stupid. Stupid. Anyway, so shit, stupid man. Chicks say stupid shit, y'all. But so yes, this is another thing I thought about. And since I spent most of the time trying to talk about this 200-year operation they had called the Poor Farm, and trying to explain how the modern day shelters is different than the poor shelters and all this stuff. It took too long. I was going to get on the whole subject of this overseas uh, fleet that I want to call, uh, I don't know, ship force. Okay, it's called ship force, and I just created it. And you're gonna steal it and make some stupid show out of it and ruin the party for everybody by making it boring and adding all these stupid things in there and this political nonsense or this woke crap, and there's not going to be no explosions, and there's not going to be no cool storylines and great dialogue. It's going to have some weird talking creature, and it ain't going to make any damn sense. Okay, it's just like everything doesn't make any damn sense anymore. So my point is this: it could be beneficial to have ships recommission some ships and put some people on there. There's lots of vets out there that still have the talent to learn how to, from the Navy, from the Marines, or Coast Guards that know how to use and operate boats. And there's people that are fishermen who want to be at sea but can't afford to be at sea because they can't buy their own ship. But put them on there with the homeless people, teach them how to do these things. Man, even get a license notification if they're going to take on certain things, notoriety, I guess you would call it, somebody to keep the book straight, when they're making trades and deals and so forth across seas, international waters. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So the homeless, once again, are free to do what they want, just like they're free to do what they want in their own open land. And so it's very important that these type of things happen. Okay, so that's one way, plain and simple, to end homelessness is to start putting people out in ships and having certain people teach them how to live off being on the sea, and also having trying to maybe master plan building this sea shelter, or what do you call it? Kind of like when there's like those oil rig things out in the ocean, but make one that people can actually live in, but bigger. Or make one of those floating boats, ships like in Final Fantasy. When Final Fantasy 2 came out, I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, wow, there's a ship that floats on a boat. Or, has balloons and it's in the air and it has rockets and stuff. And, but now we're way past Final Fantasy 2. But when I think, I don't know how old I was, maybe like 13 when that came out, 14 or whatever. I don't know. But I remember I didn't want to go to this stupid field trip. So, and then, they had this fundraiser crap, and it turned out when I said I didn't want to go to the damn thing, that I was the one that made the most money selling things. I've always been good at trying to do business things when it comes to certain things, but especially with charities. So, holy crap. Yeah. I know I didn't put my hand in. But, so yeah, that's the other plan I was going to talk about. And so I just did, in a way, not too much into it like I thought, which is the reason why I'm not talking too much into it is because I want to do more research to figure out how to make that idea of mine a reality, to make the sea voyage thing uh, something to come to life and be able to be um, functional thing to work for people to get their lives together. And I believe it could happen. But once again, this could all happen with the generous donation of you wealthy people who want to put in a certain amount of money that you know could work. Just at least $390,000 can get a ship to house at least 120 people. Do you know that the Enterprise, the original Enterprise, with Captain Archer only had 150 people in it. Crazy, huh? And then you think about it, like, what the hell? Enterprise, okay? Enterprise D with what? Picard only had, I think it was like 350 people in it. Like, how the hell, as big as the Enterprise D is, had like 350 people in it? It makes no sense. And then I think in Voyager there was like only like 200 people. No, no, no. Okay, so after that one episode where they went to the demon planet and the planet got, they split the crew into two people. There was like 149 or 48 or some crap, and then they took on like, I think it was 7 and 9 or something at that point. And the 7 and 9 had all these other freaking bored kids, and it was like 151 or some nonsense. I don't know. But Voyager looked like, it could house more people than just 100 and something, but it didn't. Especially Enterprise D, which makes no sense. Maybe there was 1,000 people, but some dude was talking about there's one toilet on the Enterprise, and that's some crazy shit. And you think about Deep Space Nine, okay? Deep Space Nine could only have like 1,000 people or 2,000. I'm telling you, if you watch this stuff, it makes no sense. They show you this giant structure, and there's this low amount of people in there, and you're like, what the hell? So how could the Enterprise only have 150 people? And now I think about it, Voyager and the original Enterprise did kind of look the same size. So yeah, and I'm not even talking about Captain Kirk and Spock and all that. The Enterprise, the first one or the other one. Damn, there's like three Enterprises. Okay, Enterprise Dito is Picard's. So the whole thing is, how are you housing these tiny amounts of people in these giant crafts? So I don't know. Yeah, I went off topic and became a complete dork. Damn it. Now I'm not getting any boobies that watch this stuff. Damn it. Anyway, hope you guys think about this and come up with solutions of your own. But I believe these two ideas, I don't know if I'm mixing, two ideas would work. One, getting open land and being able to teach people how to live on their own, create businesses, and to succeed. At the same time, uh, be able to sit back and build a place where people can go overseas and live on the sea. There's only those two options. There's too much at stake, and society's falling because there's an overwhelming mass of populations. But I'll say this: if one state where they're overpopulated and homeless people try either one of these ideas and they actually succeed, then it's going to be a whole thing of trying to do this across the nation. And granted, there's also places like I recorded that in the conversation too, where you can get some of these towns that are falling down, getting torn apart, and be able to have a person come down there that's homeless and help them work on rehabilitating or uh, how do you say this, restoring these old buildings and stuff, and they get housed at the same time. And if they restore some of these buildings, they're able to go in there and have a place to stay, and they get paid to restore it. And that way they can live in the place they restored and have housing and become a functioning member of society. And he takes these old towns and things and you do this across the nation so they don't fall and just look like some abandoned structure from some ancient civilization or a Wild West ghost town. And that's another thing. Take some of the ghost towns and be able to turn them back into, like I said this before, people like retro. So you might as well make these retro towns. Go fix up these towns, make it look like 1987. Go fix up another town, make it look like 1964. Or fix another town, make it look like 51. Fix another one, make it look like 1920. Everybody walk around like they're mobsters. And it'd be cool. It'd be like a time warp if you can go to all these different towns and look like something. And you go to that one place that used to be Flintstone town, and you actually make people walk around like Bedrock. I mean, pretty much you got that going on with the homeless people within the city. You got Flintstone people walking around with no shoes on, no socks on. They're walking through the building. You know, they walk around barefoot all the time, going in and out of tents. And so, why not make a Flintstone town? Put a whole bunch of animatronic robots and stuff that look like dinosaurs, and have the homeless people walk around in their little homeless people town, which is Flintstone Town, Bedrock, or Stonywood, or Stonydale, or Stonyville, or Stony Hills, know, Stony Village, Stony Town. I mean, they can stony anything. They can make little caveman towns and have them dressed up like the Flintstones and let them walk around with their shoes off, do whatever crazy nonsense. But put your stone caveman people out there, make people look like Captain Caveman, whatever, But make your animatronic dinosaur people walking around. People got that costume now where you can look like a real dinosaur and you can tell there's someone in it. But just put a robot, one of those robots you got that deliver packages and put the dinosaur suit on them, and there you go. You got your dinosaurs walking around. You can upgrade it, whatever you want. Biggie bam, there you go. You got prehistoric Flintstone Town, make some pterodactyl people, whatever. There is actually real lizards and stuff that you could do things with genetically mutations, and they have the science. They can build it, make it better, stronger, new, but they don't want to stare the populace all at once. They're going to use it against us when the government revolts against us. Everything they got hidden is going to come out and attack the hell out of us before the ultimate end, where crisis return and everybody gets judged. And with that being said, I'm going to end this in my psychobabble because I went way off topic a long time ago. But hopefully you got the point. So understand, don't turn your back and close your eyes to what's happening. Stand up for what you believe in and help those who can't help themselves. That way you get good karma and good blessings coming your way. With that being said, peace be with you all and blessings upon you always. Farewell and think about your fellow men and women. Godspeed.